Hey, what's up? It's Symphony here. Subscribe to my brother Mr. Creepy as Hell channel, and when you're watching his videos, make sure you stay in one piece.
Growing up, I admired my grandma. She was a very kind person, a very understanding person, and she was someone you can really get along with. She was also a very good friend. She helped me with a lot of things, problems that I had, stuff that I thought were unsolvable, but she was able to manage to solve those problems. I didn't know that the facade that my grandmother was putting on was completely different from who she really is. And after experiencing and witnessing something I saw, I don't think I can ever look at my grandmother the same again. I have to sit back and ask myself, who really is she? I'm Spike, and this is my story of what I witnessed about my grandmother and how everything changed and how I viewed her differently after this. This happened in the summer of 2005. I was just 12 years old. My parents always dropped me off at my grandmother's place after school lets out for the summer, and I usually spend time at her place for most of the summer. She lives by herself, and unfortunately, my grandfather, my grandmother's husband, died about 3 years ago, so she lives a very lonely life, but she's always excited whenever I come over. It brings a smile on her face. That's what she always tells me. My grandmother lives out in the countryside, lots of land, a nice 2-story house, but it can be lonely for her sometimes. That's why I'm always glad to come over and to give her company and to keep her entertained for a while. The first few days I stayed at my grandmother's place, everything was great. I got up and helped her around the house with work. She made delicious breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I helped her do things that need to be done, and overall, we spent good quality time together. Sometimes I would go with her to the store to help her buy things that she needs and, just hang out with her. Everything was great until the 4th day I stayed. That's when things got really strange and weird. It was around midnight. I was up watching television, and as I was watching television, that's when I heard strange noises. It sounded like someone was dragging something. I thought maybe my grandmother needed help with something, so I went downstairs to see if she needed any help because I know she has a bad back. I made my way downstairs and I stopped as I saw my grandmother coming from outside dragging a long bag. I called out to her, "Oh, Grandma, let me help you with that. That seems heavy. I don't want you to injure your back." "Absolutely not," she scoffed it at me. I stood there for a moment because that's something that's really strange. My grandmother has never yelled at me like that before. She realized what she'd done, and then she looked at me and breathed in and out and said to me, "Oh, Spike, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you like that. I know you're trying to help out. You're a good kid, but I got this. Trust me. Let me take care of this. You just go back upstairs and go off to sleep, okay? I love you." I didn't argue with my grandmother. I'd done what she told me to do. I went upstairs and I got into my bed. But I stayed up for a couple of minutes because I was concerned about what was inside that black bag and why she yelled at me not to help her out. All that thinking started to make me feel sleepy, and I closed my eyes. I woke up the next morning to the smell of waffles. I put on my house shoes and I dashed downstairs to sit at the table. My grandmother made homemade waffles, and let me tell you, her homemade waffles were so good. It was something out of this world. She set down the plate and then she told me, "So Spike, after you get done eating your breakfast, I left you a list of chores I need done around the house. I gotta run somewhere. I'm not gonna be back for about a couple of hours. Can you handle these chores?" "Sure, I can take care of it. Don't even worry about it. You just take care of what you need to do, Grandma. I got this," I reassured her. "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You are really a good grandson. I'm so proud of you," my grandmother said to me as she grabbed the keys and went out the door. I saw her drove off, and after I got done eating, I started on the chores that my grandmother left for me to do. I took care of cleaning up the house, vacuuming, mopping, and as I was making my way down the basement, something was wrong. As I was making my way down our basement that was near our kitchen, I noticed there was a really strong smell. It was very unpleasant. It was a very nauseating, putrid smell. I tried my very best not to barf up the breakfast that I ate. I tried to open up the basement door, but it was locked. Now, right then and there, I should have just left it alone. But I decided to look for the key because I wanted to clean up the basement as well, especially since it had a horrible smell, and I didn't want that smell to linger into the kitchen where people ate their food at. So I looked around for a key to unlock the door of the basement, and I found it inside the drawer in the kitchen. I grabbed it and I opened up the door. The moment I opened up the door, a smell of rotting, decaying meat and mold filled my lungs. The smell hit me like a wet towel to the face. It was horrifying. I tried to do everything I can in my power not to barf. I toughened up and I went down to the basement and I cut on the light. But the moment I did, there was blood everywhere. It was horrifying. Not only that, but in the corner of the basement, there was a black bag that had flies and magnets around it. I can feel my body shaking because I knew something was not right. My legs felt like jello, like it could snap like twigs. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. No matter how much I tried to stay calm, I couldn't. I walked slowly as my legs kept on wiggling. I got closer as that smell intensified 1,000 folds. I held my breath, and against my better judgment, I opened up the bag, and what I saw made me yell. Inside the bag was a dead woman, a human corpse, a human female corpse. I jumped back, and I turned around because I was going to run upstairs and call for help. But the minute I did, my grandmother was standing near the doorway of the exit of the basement. And she had this serious look to her face, a look I'd never seen her give me before. This didn't even feel real. This felt like I was in some horror movie or in some nightmare, a never-ending nightmare where I can't wake up. But then reality set in, and I snapped out of whatever shock I was in. And I turned towards my grandmother, and I asked her a question. "Do you want me to help you dump the body somewhere, Grandma?" "Oh, Spike, look at you, wanting to help your grandmother. I know a perfect place. Help me grab the body. I'm gonna put it inside my trunk. I found the perfect place to dump this body at." After that, I helped my grandmother put the body inside of her trunk, and then we headed off in her truck and drove to an isolated area where she already had a hole dug up. And me and her lifted the body up and put it inside that little hole, and we buried it. The truth is, the woman that my grandmother killed was a woman that my grandfather was having an affair with before he passed away. My grandmother found out about it, and let's just say she didn't take it too kindly. She wanted that woman to pay. And so, she took matters into her own hands and took the life of that woman. There was no way in hell I was going to turn my grandmother in. I love her, and I'll do anything to see her happy, and I'll do anything to help her out. And so, I helped her dispose of the body, and we never spoke about this again.